Hey YouTube, long time no talk. I'm back with another video, this time about the Instafloss, which was just released last month, December 2023. Also, I'm going to try not to breathe so heavily this time. Sorry about that. Anyway, I wanted to make this video because there really aren't any reliable reviews on this thing yet. The reviews that are out there seem a bit suspect. So I wanted to give my honest feedback on this thing, let people know what are sort of the ins and outs of this device, what are its pitfalls, what are its benefits. So without getting too deep into the background, this thing started out as a Kickstarter, I think, back in 2017, 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. Made a couple $1 million, and it's been in development ever since. So there are a lot of backers from that Kickstarter that have been waiting for this thing for years. And it finally just released last month. So you don't have to keep staring at my ugly mug. Let me show you this thing here. Now, the value proposition of this device is basically right here. On each side of this mouthpiece, there are these little holes that shoot water up and down. So instead of having to use, for instance, a water pick that will only hit individual teeth, the idea behind this is you're getting 360-degree coverage around your teeth. Sounds awesome in theory. It's a little bit different in practice. Let's start with one of my favorite things, and that is, if you come down here, yeah, there's exposed wiring right there. Now, not exposed in the sense that it's bare copper, but exposed enough that if you're dealing with a device that is intended to push through a ton of water, it's a little unsettling. I'm not an electrician, but that's my 2 cents on the matter. Let's get down to the actual, tangible issues that I have with this device. So, first of all, this is the water reservoir. This is the pressure gauge. This is the wand that controls the water flow, or rather it turns the water flow on and off. And that's what you use to quote unquote floss your teeth. Now the reservoir, and by the way, this is a known issue. Instafloss has acknowledged this on their website, and they're going to send out another valve. But I just want to show you what happens. Cool. So you go to fill this thing up with water, and it starts leaking right there. That explains this towel right here, because I had to clean up a ton of water. And you have to clean up a ton of water when you use this thing too. Now, another really cool feature of this is when you take this nozzle and you simply hold it below the water tank, it starts leaking. By the way, I'm sorry for how disgusting my sink is. But anyway, this thing starts leaking, not in just a drip, but you could see that there was a substantial amount of water coming out of that for just having not been turned on. Additionally, this thing is absurdly loud, like louder than a blender. You're going to see in a minute. It's not going to be conveyed very well across YouTube, but just take my word for it. This thing is absurdly loud. I would say that another thing that really kind of irks me about this thing is there is a line right here, if you can see it, and they say that the water needs to be filled to above that line. Well, as you can see, that leaves, what is that? A few millimeters, a half centimeter, whatever. It makes it interesting to take this leaking reservoir and try to maneuver it into place while it's basically filled to the brim. So you're worried about water coming out of the top. You're worried you do have water coming out of the bottom. You want to make sure the wand is sitting up so that it doesn't fall over. So it's just, 3 different points of water leaving this thing. My favorite design choice on this device is this right here. You see that? You might be saying, well, that can't be a screw. I mean, that's where your teeth go. No, it's a screw. Yeah, that is a piece of metal with a slat in it that you rub across your teeth. For some reason, this whole bottom portion is not made of rubber or whatever this is. this soft plastic or this rubber. But yeah, the point that this was designed by dentists and they have a piece of metal down here is just bananas crazy to me. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this thing, and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to capture the water coming out of my mouth, which will be a good indication of how much water comes out of this nozzle, as well as let you view just how almost comically this reservoir drains. It really is quite astounding, but let me do my best here. So the first thing you got to do is, and by the way, I'm taking this risk on my teeth for you guys. So thanks to the no followers I have, but I hope this is valuable to somebody. So let's see, the thick portion, the taller portion is on the outside. Back here. Jesus. Now that is the, come on, man. That is this device set at its lowest point. You know what? Just for fun, I want to show you what it's like at a reasonable. So as you can see, the dial is now as far up as it'll go. Gross. It was all the way over here. Now I'm just going to put it at halfway. I imagine most people will probably use this thing not at halfway. They're probably using it probably at a higher setting than that, because that, what you just saw right there, didn't really do anything to my teeth. I could have swished water from a cup and that would have been better than that. So now we are at halfway up. Let me just make sure it's a little bit higher. And we're going to try that again. Man, so I'm just covered in water all over my sink, all in my beard, and that's only halfway up. So I would expect these holes to be shooting water out in a somewhat precise manner, like what I would expect from a water pick. If you've ever used a water pick, it's basically just a laser of water. It's just... It almost feels like it's a sandblaster in your mouth, or like a power washer, but very, very focused and fine. And this is more like, what is it? Ultimately 6 holes on each side of that are basically just pouring water out of it like a hose. So I didn't feel anything that would resemble a water pick or water flossing or even regular flossing. What I did feel was a very complicated, very expensive hose that's just shooting an absurd amount of water into my mouth, and also giving me the opportunity to clean up everything after I'm done, because this is just a wet nightmare. What does it do well? Like I said, water comes out of this thing, so that's about what it does well. Everything else leaves a whole lot to be desired. The Instafloss itself feels more like not quite a beta or an alpha, but it feels more like a version 0.3. Like they've kind of worked out a couple of kinks, but it is not version 1.0. It is not market ready. This thing should still be in product design phase. Really any one of these individual particular issues, especially this little screw, should have had people go, nah, we can't do this. We gotta fix this. But when you start to add up the litany of issues with this thing, I only had to wait about 9 months to get mine. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not as disappointed as people who have had to wait, 4 or 5 years. I'm hoping that Instafloss addresses this. I'm hoping they come out with a statement. I'm hoping they come out with a version 2.0. Knowing how their versions go, I'm going to wait until version 8.0 until I maybe consider buying this again. But I wanted to address this because there have been some reviews online that have really just talked about how this is the saving grace of flossing. And you know what? Go outside, hook up a hose, shoot it into your mouth. There, I just saved you $200. Let me know if you have any questions, comments in the comment section. Happy to answer things for anybody. Yeah, that's my whole spiel. Thanks for spending 10 minutes with me.